I'm gonna switch it off of mine and let you share it right now. You should be good. Can you share yours now?
I think so.
There you go.
How's that?
Yep, you're good.
It really is. Baltimore Life doesn't do business. There's not a lot of agents out there that have Baltimore Life contracts. I am VP of sales at Baltimore Life, and I'm the only person that I don't have any regionals below me or anybody else that gets out there and does this. So I try to keep as close a hand to our distribution as I possibly can. I enjoy working with, I get to work with people I enjoy working with, and I don't have to work with people I don't enjoy working with. So that's kind of a benefit to my job. But we developed a relationship last year with Heartland Financial Group, and as a part of that, you guys came along with that, and it's been a fantastic relationship. We had never in our past created a product individually that was just proprietary to one organization. We'd always, if we developed a product, we made it available to everybody, and we allowed everybody to sell it. So there really was no benefit to your organization or to the organization as a whole. But I really thought it was as beneficial to try to get a relationship with you guys. I've been friends with Lee Mulry, who you guys know, president of Heartland. I've been an stalwart in the insurance industry for probably, I think, over 50 some years. And a couple of other people, Mike Pasalia, Eric Salazar at Heartland as well, too, that work with you guys sometimes. But it's been a great relationship so far. We have developed a new product. It is proprietary to Heartland. Nobody can sell it outside of, the only way that somebody can call and get this product would be to direct it back to you guys to say, hey, here's who you need to call to get that. We don't offer it outside of the Heartland distribution and coming through people like yourself. So it only helps to make what you're selling more valuable to you guys. It benefits you guys individually. It benefits the organization as a whole. I'm not going to get too much into what went into the development of that. Talked about that in Dallas. The product's name is I Provide Whole Life. It's really designed for the final expense market. We're going to go through some of the advantages. I'm going to try to talk about the advantage. I am going to get into some product detail today because some of you may or may not have heard this and getting familiar with it. Of the people that's written this, and there's been a lot of agents out there that's beginning to write this. I think you're finding our underwriting is fair. I think you're finding our service is more than fair. We're trying to do everything that we can to be a good service provider to you. I know that was one of the things that the Heartland senior management team wanted to make sure that we did was provide a level of service that was above and beyond any other company. And we're doing our very best to try to make sure that happens. But some advantages we're going to talk about today is an e-application with an embedded pre-app process. We were first to come out with a pre-app process a few years ago because we felt it was important that you not go through a complete app and find out at the very end of the app after you gotten all the bank information and everything else that the client didn't qualify. We want to tell you that up front. And we call it pre-app because if the client doesn't qualify in that initial pre-app process, and we tell you that up front, and you go someplace else with that business, or even you don't, you can go straight to another carrier. And one of the questions they may ask is, have you ever been declined? This is not a declined app. We've not started an application. It's truly a pre-app process. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it is just a very quick process that we're going to be able to tell you up front whether or not your client qualifies medically in most cases right away before you even start the app process. Simplified underwriting. We're going to give you eligibility decision again out of that pre-app process in 3 to 5 minutes. It is 100% point of sale automated underwriting decision. We don't want anything referred to an underwriter. We have had a few cases where we've had a vendor failure. By that, I mean that sometimes when we were doing the initial rollout, we had a failure with MIB, or we had a failure with LabPick or RX, the database for RX and things like that. If we have one of those things, we do send that on to an underwriter to make a decision on those types of things. Shorter and easier to understand health questions. You get a lot of applications with carriers that the health question seems like they're paragraphs long, and it gets confusing to you and the client. So we've tried to make those application health questions shorter and easier. We have a few reflexive health questions for better underwriting decisions. So I'll give you an example of that in the presentation. But if you answer yes to a health question, there's going to be a drop-down box that's going to help better define what that is and the length of time they've had that particular impairment and that kind of thing that helps us better to qualify that applicant. We do have a preferred and standard options for issue ages 45 to age 89. And 89 is the maximum issue age on this. So that was one of the things that senior management wanted, was us to go up to past age 80 or 85. which is where most carriers go to offer you an additional advantage on that. We have a modified return of premium option as well as the preferred and standard for issue ages 45 to 80. We have a maximum face amount of $50,000. I think that's on the higher end for final expense for carriers. We did incorporate Social Security billing for you guys. We had never done that in the past. We did incorporate Social Security billing as a part of this. And we think that's beneficial to not only to your sales process, but to the persistency of the business as well. And we added multiple payment options: life pay, 20 pay, and a single pay. And one of the things too that I'm make sure that it's I want to go back to that previous. One of the things, I'll just talk about it while I'm here. One of the things too that I get into a little bit as well is something that truly makes a product a final expense product is every part of every policy you deliver. Next to the last page of that product, that policy in the pages, is going to be a little perforated page where it's going to be called $1,000 cash draft. And if any of you have ever been involved with helping to bury a family member or a client, or helped involved in that process, one of the first things that happens, funeral directors are awfully nice to you until you actually need their service, and then they become very businesslike. And one of the first things they want as a funeral director, before they'll even pick up the body at the home or the hospital, is they want money. They want a down payment on the services that they provide. And sometimes that's hard to come up with for families, especially in the final expense market, to say, hey, this is, I've got to come up with, $1,000, $1,200 or whatever it may be to get the funeral home to even help us out, to initially start the process. So part of that process, and I think something that makes iProvide stand out as a final expense product, is we have $1,000 cash draft in the back of that. For any product that's outside of the 2-year contestability period, we can't do it in the 2-year contestability period, but any product outside of that, if the client dies, the beneficiary can take that cash draft page to a bank, credit union, any type of financial institution, and there's instructions in there how Baltimore Life will give them instructions to provide that beneficiary with $1,000. It's a cash draft. It's an advance on the death benefit. So let's say the death benefit is $10,000. If we pay $1,000 out for them to use initially to give to the funeral home, then the death benefit on the rest of it will only be the additional $9,000. But it is an advance. We're not waiting on a certified death certificate or anything else. We know that family needs money early, and we know they need it quickly to provide and pay to the funeral home in most cases. And that varies. That amount varies by that the funeral home will ask for, varies by state and location, but the amount we'll provide nationwide is $1,000 cash draft. So I think that's a benefit to the final expense product, and making it truly a final expense product and not just a simplified issue whole life product. Let's get into some product details. It is a non-participating whole life. Those of you that's been selling our A priority product know that that's a participating product. It does provide dividends and that kind of thing. This is a non-participating whole life product. And I don't want to get into A priority here. One of the things, if you did saw a memo go out not long ago, a few days ago from Baltimore Life, is that we have discontinued the band of $15,000 to $24,999 on the iProvide. I mentioned this at the Dallas meeting, that we had overlap in those products. We did away with that band because we didn't want to have a overlap of giving you different premium rates and different qualifications underwriting for the same amount of insurance. So the A priority now starts at $25,000 and goes up, and the same product as you've had before at $25,000 and above. So the only product you really have available to you below $25,000 is the iProvide product. So this product is also gender-based, male, female, non-tobacco, tobacco rates. Again, it has 3 underwriting classes, preferred. And I don't know if I hit on this later or not, but right now what we're finding with the business that you guys have been sending us, a little over 80% of the applications that come through get a preferred rating on pre-app. That's not, we didn't put preferred out there to kind of be what you would call the illustrated rate or something else. We're giving over 80% right now is truly a preferred rate. We have a standard category, and then we had the modified return of premium for the people who have some comorbidities and things of that nature. Here issue ages. We'll go at preferred. We'll start at age 8 at 45, go up to age 89. Obviously, a single pay max age is 85, and then a 20 pay max age is going to be age 80. Premium class for standard, it's going to go from 45 to 89 as well. And again, you have the some variations there on the single pay and 20 pay. And I'm not want to get into, I don't want to delve too much into the exceptions and all this stuff like that. Obviously, one of the things I'd encourage you to do, and I'm gonna give you instructions later on how to download the agent guide and get much more specific in these things, but just want to try to highlight some of the things. For the modified, it does start again at age 45, but it only goes up to age 80. And then a male tobacco, just simply because of mortality, the max issue age is 75. Face amounts limit per underwriting class. Minimum face amount on all three products is going to be $2,500. Maximum issue face amount for preferred for ages 45 to 50. And the reason it's 35,000. The reason it's less than 50 is because we have a higher mortality. It's surprising in final expense, but higher mortality in this market for ages 45 to 50 than we do in the 51 to 70 category. So at age 45 to 50, we have a maximum issue age for preferred of 35,000. Ages 51 to 70, we go up to the 50,000, back down from 71 to 80 to 35,000. And anything over age 80 for preferred, the maximum issue age is going to be 15,000. Standard, you can see there 45 to 80, the maximum is 25,000, and over 80 is 15. And then the modified is 15. And Rob, I'm not looking at if anybody's putting notes out there in the chat and things like that. I'm not, if you see something there, feel free to interrupt me as we go along, because I'm not looking at the chat to see those things. We do have two riders. We have two riders on this product. We have an accidental death benefit on the life pay only. This is going to provide an additional death benefit. The client, if the insured dies as a result of an accident. And then we have the accelerated death benefit. And I would tell you here, we have just made a change. I think it's coming out this weekend on our application. It was one of those things where a lot of cases, it's accelerated death benefit rider is going to pay, and I'll describe it in a second, but it's going to pay and accelerate the death benefit in the case of a terminal illness. But we were getting, and it's a free benefit. It's a free benefit to the client in every state that allows it, and most states do. But it was being checked no about 75% of the time, and we couldn't figure out why. But I think it's what we've done in this newest release, and just be sure to check that on the applications, is that we made that option to where you have to opt out not to get it. In other words, and instead of checking yes or no, we've already got it pre-checked. We want to have it pre-checked yes, but check that and make sure that that's always yes, because it is a benefit that's free to the client. There's no downside to the client having that. Most states do require us to ask it of the client in case they don't want it for some reason, but it's available in all of our products. So be sure to check that when you're doing the application. Here is the accelerated death benefit rider. It's for terminal illness only. It's available on all three products, preferred, standard, and modified. It'll accelerate up to 75% of the policy with a minimum acceleration of $2,500. Acceleration amount becomes a lien on the policy death benefit. And then up on a final death claim, the lien plus interest is netted against the death benefit for final payout. So what that means is, let's say the client's got a $20,000 death benefit, and they come down with some type of terminal illness, and they need money quickly. They got a less than 2-year life expectancy, that type of thing, and you can provide up to 70. You can accelerate up to 75% of the death benefit of that policy, and provide that as funds to the client prior to their death. And then once that client dies, and then any outstanding amount that's been paid plus any interest that's not been paid back would be subtracted from the final death benefit. And I think that's a great benefit to the client that they have. Accidental death is only available in preferred and standard classes. Level premiums for life pay and a 20 pay option, and its issue age is 45 to 65, and it will expire at age 70. So this is for more of the younger ages on the amounts on the ages that we typically look at in final expense. And then the face amount will equal the base face amount policy. So if you have a $20,000 face amount on the death benefit on the life policy, then the accidental death benefit amount that you buy will equal that base policy face amount as well too. So it'd be a total of $40,000. That there is a cost to this rider. It's a small cost, but it's something that you might want to look at if it's a selling feature and helps you sell a product and adds additional benefit to a client. And I find it especially, and your own experience may differ, but younger clients, tend to have more accidents than older age clients. So if you're talking to a younger age client and maybe something that you look at putting on there and adds value to the client and adds value, adds more value in your sales process as well too. Talking about the product again, let's go back to the underwriting criteria. We're going to use, here's the underwriting criteria. We're going to use whether or not they smoke or use tobacco, not just smoke, but use tobacco. We're going to use a height and weight chart. We did have a BMI scale out there, but I told our underwriter, most people don't use a BMI scale unless they have to go and Google it, but height and weight chart, a medical history questionnaire, which is the application questions, prescription history check, and a lab history check. And I'm going to stop here because I want to deal a little bit with the pre-app. As I said, if you've done our A priority product, the pre-app works the same. If you've done our I provide, it's going to try to illustrate. Once you've got the client to be able to give you their full name, their full address, not a post office box. We don't need their post office box to start with. We need their street address to do the pre-app. Get their street address and the last 4 digits of their social security number. We can order and get access to what we call pre-app information. Once we've done that and you're sitting there with the client, you can get that client to, you can do it by text, or you can do it by email, or use your device to do DocuSign. We're providing RX check vendor the DocuSign information to do that. We're providing the Lab IQ ability to do that, but almost within seconds, it's going to come back with a pre-app approval or not approved, or what they qualify for immediately upon doing that pre-app. Once you've got that approval back, on that same screen that you're looking at on your screen, it's going to say start application. So when you hit start application, all the information you've already entered, their full name, their street address, if you give the last 4 digits of the social security number, and more than likely it's going to populate their full social security number on the application, so you don't have to retype all that information in or re-ask it to the client. But once you start that application, part A is going to be knockout questions. If any question in part A is answered yes, then they're not going to be eligible for the product. Part B is a supplemental questions. If any answer is answered yes, there will be, as I said earlier, there's going to be some reflexive drop-down questions asking specifically to that medical history. So again, we've shortened the application questions, but let's say somebody said yes to COPD, and I'll give you an example of that in a second. There'll be a drop-down box that helps us to better define what that is and not just lump that in with a bunch of other types of situations that the client may have. And then the answer to those questions, those drop downs, is going to determine the final underwriting outcome. Part C is for ages 70 plus. You only complete Part C if it's for 70 plus. And again, if you're doing this on a laptop, you're not going to see Part C if they're not age 70 plus. You'll only see it on your device or something if it's relevant to this particular applicant's age and face amount and that kind of things. Only required for age 70 plus. Any yes answer to that section, they would not be eligible for coverage. So I think it's an additional 2 or 3 questions on that. And as I said earlier, questions are much shorter, easier to understand than the typical final expense apps. Any yes response, pivot to brief questions. So here's an example of COPD I mentioned. In the last 5 years, has a proposed insured been diagnosed, treated, tested positive for any of the following: diabetes, COPD, and sleep apnea. Now, if you're in some of your final expense apps, you can know that goes on and lists a ton of other things, and then doesn't really give you a drop-down box, and it's just a yes or no. So here we're going to check yes, and then we're going to check yes for COPD. It'll be a drop-down for COPD, and you check yes for that, and then they'll say, have you ever been required to use supplemental oxygen? Have you ever been hospitalized for COPD within the past 12 months? So that's the drop-down box that helps us better define the severity of the COPD. It helps us better to underwrite that case, as opposed to just tying that in with diabetes. You could say diabetes, COPD, and sleep apnea. If that's just the only question on the app, we're left with no other choice but to not know which one it could be, and then to also maybe lump those together as thinking, okay, they could have both or all 3 of those at the same time. Okay, in the e-app, I'm going to get, this goes back to the e-app. In the agent portal and your your availability to get to the agent portal, you have to be contracted with Baltimore Life. I'm going to assume all of you are contracted with Baltimore Life. If you sold our A Priority, you are. If you sold our I Provide, you are. Once you get into that agent portal, you're going to open the e-app link. And right now, as we speak, that e-app link is going to be on the initial page when you log in. It's going to say InSpeed Plus is InSpeed Plus through this system upgrade we're going to do this weekend. We're going to make sure that says I Provide on there, but there's going to be a link on there that says InSpeed Plus link. You're going to hit that to start the e-app. It's going to be right beside the I Provide rate calculator, so you'll recognize it from that. But once we've done this, we're going to also put it behind the I Provide product information screen as well.
Hey,
open
Doug?
that e-app link. Yes.
I'm sorry. If you want, I could just share the screen and show them where that link is on the website quick.
Certainly. No problem. Yeah, I appreciate that, Rob. I'm not that technologically advanced to do that, so I do appreciate you doing that.
All right, so here's the home screen of the Baltimore Life app or portal. Normally, if you're going to do A Priority, you would click on the A Priority box, and the link is in there. The InSpeed link is
Hey, Rob,
in
I
there.
can see it. I don't know if everybody else can or not.
Oh, hang on. Let me see. Yeah, everybody should be able to see that. Can everybody see the Baltimore Life screen?
No, I can't. I just see the PowerPoint.
I had to do a drop down at the top to switch from Doug's screen to Rob's screen. I don't know if there's one for everybody else or not.
It should be. Everybody do it. See if you could click over to my screen real quick, and then I'll end my share. That's all.
So it's sharing both of your screens right now. And there's a little drop down at the very top on my phone where it says to switch between which shared screen you want to be on.
Okay, so everybody switch over to my screen share real quick at the very top. And if you look, you'll see there's a box for A Priority. If you click that box, the InSpeed link to do the e-app is in that box. But with the I Provide, they didn't do that. Instead, if you look down below the Dominican Republic for the agent trip, right there, it says InSpeed Plus. That's actually the link that you'll click on for the e-app. So a lot of agents have had the issues finding that link, but I believe what Doug was saying, they're going to rename it and hopefully put it in that I Provide box. And if
that's correct, that's what we're going to do. Hopefully this weekend. Yeah, that's what we're going to do this weekend, Rob.
Okay, perfect.
That's the plan, to do that this weekend. We have to work with our vendor who works with our website to be able to do that, and they're going to do an update this weekend and incorporate that into it. So it should show up behind the I Provide product information tab, but until that time, that's exactly where you would find it. And I really appreciate you doing that. Once they've gone through the see. Something's happening that I can't. Well, let's see here.
I turned off my share, so
Not letting me go back to the previous screen. It's not letting me go back to the previous screen. It pops up, but then it goes away. There it is. Here it is. In the agent portal, obviously going to open that e-app link that Robert just showed you there. You're going to enter the applicant's personal information, height and weight. If it's outside the minimum max range, you can stop there. Applicant's going to electronically sign this, sign the HIPAA authorization that gives as I said, our vendors and stuff, the RX and the lab data ability to do that. And then you're going to get, it says here, the eligibility results are going to come back in 3 to 5 minutes. I think the experience of the people that send the apps in there is going to find it's much less than that. That's what they wanted me to put out there, allowed me to put out there because sometimes it does, based off of your connectivity. That's really a big key to it. If you're in an area that's got good connectivity and Wi-Fi or internet service, it's going to be much quicker. Sometimes it takes, if you're out in a rural area that don't have good service, and it might take a little bit longer, but it's going to come back. The applicant's eligible for preferred, standard, or modified. It's going to tell you that or it's going to tell you they're declined and you can stop there. If the applicant does come back as preferred, standard, or modified, you can continue with the application. And it's going to go right into, as I said, the applicant starting the application. All that information has been pre-populated. The applicant's going to answer the health questions. They're going to ask for coverage and riders and premium calculations, get the owner, beneficiary, and payor information, payment and replacement information if it's appropriate. And then it's going to ask for the agent's responses to the agent questions that's on every application as well too. And then at the end of that, there'll be another DocuSign process where you can do it on your device or through email or text. All parties, including the agent, needs to sign that. And on the device, it will tell you, it's going to be a little circle that goes around. Don't double click things. Sometimes if you see that circle going around, that best thing I can describe it, that little, it shows you that something's working. Continue to watch to do that. Don't double click it because it can cause an issue, but watch that. It'll let you know when everything is exactly completed. We shouldn't be allowing you to go past screens without making sure all the information has been checked correctly. Hopefully we don't let you, the process doesn't allow you to submit the app without making sure that all the information that's needed is being appropriately entered and nothing's been missed. But once that's done, the DocuSign process is going to let you know that when the client signed, it's going to let you know that it's recognized your signature and what every step of that process is completed. You'll get check marks on that. Note at the bottom down there, if there's replacement forms, it's going to be required paper replacement forms. If you're doing a replacement, we need a replacement form by paper in Arkansas, Florida, Nevada, and Washington. So those states require, no matter what company you're with, they have a different replacement form. They don't allow it to be done through DocuSign. So they do require paper replacement forms in the state of Florida if you do business there. I provide whole life underwriting product guide. It's going to be available out on our website. If you go to the secure website there, you can go up to product detail under I provide. It's going to provide you with the agent guide. And I would encourage every one of you to download the agent guide on that. It's going to give you much more in-depth information than what I'm able to provide here in a short amount of time. Become familiar with the product, the underwriting, the height and weight charts, the list of medications likely to result in a decline. You want to be familiar with that because it's probably going to be pretty similar to other carriers. We're going to outline the EAP process overview and what to expect and what to see and how it looks. And then the premium rates. There's going to be always in the back of our agent guide, we list per thousand rate tables and that kind of thing that's available to you out there too. If you want to know per thousand what the rates are and how they're impacted based on a client going up a different age or something like that. The agent portal support, obviously you can link to the EAP there. You've got the rate calculator. When Rob was showing you that a while ago, the I provide rate calculator is going to be right beside it. Some of the marketing materials that are out there, you got the product guide. We got flyers that are available that you can use for client solicitation, things like that. I would encourage you to go out when you get a chance. You go out and just look at all the forms and marketing materials and stuff that are available out there. There's a quick quote guide that's available. There's client brochures that are available on this product that you can use in your marketing efforts and things of that nature. And I would tell you too that due to the relationship that we have with you guys, that if there's something that we're missing, something that you use that's been successful for you in the past, or something that you'd like to use, or something that you'd like to co-brand as a bigger group, then let us know, because some of these things are already the client brochures you can co-brand. You can just go out and print it and put your own agent information out there and contact information. But if it's something that you want us to co-brand as a larger group, let us know and we can put some co-branding out there. Put some co-branding out there on there as well. And then we have printable forms. We have the app that if you want to print it out, see what it looks like, a supplemental app, and any disclosures and things like that. You can, even though you're doing e-apps 99% of the time, you can go out and look at these and either print them or just pull them up and review them. You don't have to print them out. It's available as well too. But we encourage you to look at that and become familiar with all the things that are available to you out there. That's in our marketing materials and agent material that's out there available on the agent portal. Obviously, I was explaining to Rob earlier, a lady that works for me, some of you may have talked, Rosemary Bernarding is on disability for the next 8 weeks. She had surgery yesterday, but I always encourage, and I always say that, part of our service that we want to do and provide a good level of service, not only do we have a customer call center where customers can call in and be have their issues handled, whether or not they need a beneficiary change form sent to them, or whether or not they need a bank draft something done with that, or question about their policy. If they can't reach you, we have a client toll-free number that they can call into as part of the policy delivery process. But more importantly, and what's important today is that, you're my client. We don't get to the final end user client unless you're satisfied with the service you get from us. So we want to make sure that your service well. We have a completely dedicated agent relations call center that's available at that number right there. And I would encourage you to take that number down. I'm extremely difficult to get in touch with, as Rob can tell you. But if you take this number down, this group, this organization, or this group is staffed with people that's there to help you answer. If you got a commission question, you got a contracting question, or you've got some other type of question that you can't get some type of help on. First point of contact should be with Rob and Janet and that group. But if you have something else that you need or something quickly, you can call in, and maybe it's policy information that's there that you're looking for. You can call agent relations and get that information as well too. Speaking of policy information, you can always use that secure website as well too to get any product data or policy data that you've got out there on submitted or issued policies underneath yourself or anybody below you. You can get information right there with that secure agent website as well too. I should have mentioned that earlier, but keep that number. It is a good number to have, and it can provide really quick information. We're trying to answer that phone call as quickly as possible. We do staff it appropriately for the times of day that we're getting a lot of calls and that kind of thing. So with that, Rob, one of the things I go back to is you mentioned earlier is the Hot Zalara conference that we have next June based on this year's qualifications. The qualification is from January 1st of this year through through December 31st of this year. The qualifications are $75,000 in net conference credits, dollar for dollar on the iProvide. It's we have continuous pay products are 100% there. And then if you write our single pay product, or you write the iProvide and single premium, it's going to be 10% of that single premium, whatever that may be. It says here double credit between now and March 31st. We did extend that through the end of April. So you're still under double credit. Anything you write on the iProvide only gets double trip credit toward that. So what we're trying to do is to get you to use us, to find out how beneficial and easy the process and the product is to use. And we'd love to host you. I mean, this is one of those where we don't have a maximum number of qualifiers like a lot of companies do. We want to take as many of you as we can. We typically take a relatively small group because, as I said, our distribution is relatively small. So we typically take around 100, 125 people on these conferences. We'd like to double that and make all of the additional qualifiers part of your group. So we'd love to host you. It's you and a guest. We pay for the airfare. We pay at the Hot Zalara. It's a completely everything. That's all inclusive resort. Everything's included. All your meals, all your drinks, everything's included in that. But we'd love to host you. And as Rob pointed out, anybody's been on our trips. I'm not the funnest guy, even though Rob says I'm pretty fun. It's one of those things where we try to make sure you have a good time, and it's more important. I don't want to have any meetings. The only thing that we like for you to attend, and we say we require it, but it's your trip. You earned it. So we have an opening night reception. The day you get there, we have a reception that night to where you get a chance to meet us and get a chance to meet other people that's there on the conference. It's an opening night reception. It's very informal. Short sandals, swimsuit if you've been at the pool. The next 3 or 4 days are on your own. We do have a going away gala the night before you leave, the night prior to departure. So let's say departure is on a Thursday night. On Wednesday night, we would have a going away gala that's a little more, it's a bigger dinner type of thing, and one of those things too, to just say thanks again. And that's the only 2 things that we have. There's no meetings or anything like that. I always tell people, if you want to talk business, I'd love to talk business with you. And I'll tell you where I'm at, how to find me on the resort property. If you don't want to talk business and you just want to hang out with who you're there with, or a small group of people of a group you're there with, you're free to do that as well too. We want you to have a great time, and that's kind of how we've outlined and structured our trips. But we'd love to host you with that. With that said, Rob, that's the end of my presentation. I think, going back to, we're a company that's really dedicated to working with your group and with the Heartland group as a whole. And we hope that you give up. If you haven't tried iProvide yet, we hope you do. If I'd encourage you to get back with Robert and let him know any issues that you're having, anything that you're having trouble with, difficulty with. Get that, Rob. If you'll get and outline that, send me an email as things that you hear come up. We'll try to address those. I can get back to you if you've got agents that are having a problem. We don't want you to have a problem. We don't want you to have any type of problem submitting cases to us. We don't want you having any type of problem that we can't address. Obviously, you're going to have some things that are turned down from an underwriting standpoint, some things that you may or may not agree with. What I'm looking for is more feedback on the process, how you find something, how you get the information, why something wasn't clear, something like that. I'd love to hear those things. So, Rob, I hope that's covered everything that you were looking for. I didn't see it. As I said, wasn't looking at the chat, but just let me know.
Yeah, I've been going through the chat. Just if you could do one thing, just in case anybody missed it, the cash draft information. Can you just go over that one more time?
Certainly. Yeah, I think that is truly important. And I know of no other carrier. It's always things you always say that some carriers are doing certain things. I'm not aware of any other carrier that provides this, but when you think about final expense, you're thinking, okay, what's the difference in final expense and just whole life insurance written at a smaller face amount? And there really is nothing, but it's designed for that market of people who are buying it primarily to pay for their final expenses and make sure that that's covered and their family doesn't have to come up with a cost. But let me give you the cash draft again is $1,000. It's a form that's going to be in the back of every policy that you deliver near the back part. It's like the back 2 or 3 pages. It's a perforated sheet that the client can take that to a bank, credit union, or any other type of financial institution. There are going to be directions in there for that institution to say, here, okay, they're going to contact Baltimore Life. They're going to be able to get instructions on how to provide $1,000 advance to you on that policy. Baltimore Life will reimburse them immediately through a wire transfer, that $1,000 that they're going to provide that beneficiary to leave that financial institution with, to take to the funeral home, to provide to start the process of having the body picked up from the home or the funeral home or wherever it may be to start that process, so they don't have to wait on that. Again, I think it's important because if you've ever paid for a funeral or helped somebody pay for a funeral, that can be a very challenging process, especially when families that don't have a lot of funds set aside. Let's say that Rob and I are brothers, and Rob has a lot more money and financial well off than I am. So we come, one of our parents dies. We're sitting there at the house or the funeral home talking to the funeral director, and he says, "Well, I need $1,000. I need $1,200 to start the process." And we look at each other, and I know that I don't have $1,000 sitting aside, and Rob has to come up with what Rob's worried. It's okay. Do I get that money back? Do we split this? How do we do that? There's more problems with families that take place over these types of small decisions than there should be. And we're trying to take some of that away by saying the beneficiary will have access to this money to bring that back in to pay towards the funeral. It is a cash advance. So again, if it's a $10,000 death benefit on the policy and we provide $1,000 up front, the remaining death benefit will only be $9,000, but it is something that's beneficial in every final expense situation. And I would encourage you to use that and talk to the client about that. It can help you in a number of sales situations, and it's going to distinguish the iProvide from other types of products.
That is a huge advantage. That's a great selling point for the iProvide product. So if you're comparing pricing and maybe the iProvide's a couple bucks more than another product, that's what's going to separate it. That kind of advantage, having the client be able to, upon passing of a loved one, go to the bank and get $1,000 to handle what they need to handle. That's huge. I don't know if you guys see it the same way, but I'm telling you, I've been doing this long. It's a big deal. But you also have to look at the other advantages that this policy is offering your client. Number one, you have a 20-pay option. Not a lot of final expense policies offer limited pay like that. And I know for several of my clients, that's a big deal. They want to pay 20 pay. They don't want to pay more into a policy than what the face value is. And this prevents them from paying more into a policy than what the face value is going to be. Now, that's going to be a client that's slightly smarter than your typical client. but also it goes up to 89 years old, and it goes up to 50,000. So it's a real problem solver for your clients. So you need to make sure that you're taking notes of these. I'm going to put together a bullet sheet for the iProvide product, and I'm actually going to change the bullet sheet on the A priority to reflect the changes. Those bullet sheets will be available this evening on the Google Drive under the Baltimore Life folder. So Doug, if you're done, man, that was a fantastic call. It really was. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you coming on this morning, waking up a little earlier and doing this for us. I think this is really something that's going to make a difference. So again, I really can't thank you enough for jumping on with us.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, and I'll see most of you guys hopefully in the May meeting. I plan to be at the May meeting. We're looking forward to that. So again, thank you for your time. It's important to me to be able to speak to groups like this. And Rob, you guys have been a great supporter of ours and helped us to get this product launched, and I do appreciate that. So I guess you guys got other things to talk about, so I'll leave and you guys, but again, I appreciate it, and pass on any comments that you may have about the product or process to Rob, and he can get them on to me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. So guys, listen, that's it for today. I want to remind you all about the Builders Workshop tonight at 7:30 featuring Gary Keith. Make sure you're on it. Be there, be square. Thank you for jumping on this morning. Love you guys, and we'll catch you on the other side.